Imagine waking up one morning to find that the river your family has depended on for generations has disappeared. Imagine walking for hours to a well only to discover it has run dry. Imagine watching your crops fail, your livestock weaken, and your community struggle because the rains never came. This is not fiction. This is the story of Somalia and one of the worst drought crises in its modern history. For centuries, people across Somalia have adapted to a challenging climate. Many communities depend on seasonal rainfall to grow crops and raise livestock. Camels, goats, sheep, and cattle are not only sources of food and income, but also an important part of culture and daily life. Rainfall in Somalia follows seasonal patterns. When those rains arrive, grasslands recover, rivers flow, and families can rebuild their food supplies. But in the early 2020s, those expected rains repeatedly failed. One rainy season passed with little water. People hoped the next season would be better. It was not. Then another season failed, and another. Across large parts of the country, the land became drier and drier. Farmers watched fields produce little or no harvest. Pastoral communities saw grazing land disappear. Water sources shrank. Animals became weak because they could not find enough food or water. For many families, livestock represented years of hard work and savings. Losing animals meant losing both food and income. As conditions worsened, food prices increased while local production declined. Communities that had managed difficult dry periods before now faced a much larger challenge because repeated poor rainy seasons left little time for recovery. Many people had to travel farther to collect water. Some villages relied on water deliveries. Others moved temporarily to areas where conditions were better. The drought affected millions of people across Somalia. Schools, health services, and local markets also felt the impact. Children and older adults were especially vulnerable to poor nutrition and disease associated with water shortages and food insecurity. The crisis drew attention from humanitarian organizations, local communities, and governments. Emergency food assistance was expanded. Water was transported to affected areas. Health clinics treated malnutrition and dehydration. Communities worked together to support one another through difficult conditions. Scientists studying weather patterns noted that the drought resulted from a combination of natural climate variability and broader environmental changes that can increase the likelihood of extreme weather in some regions. The Somalia drought was not a single event. It was a long and difficult period during which communities faced repeated setbacks and had to adapt to changing conditions. Yet the story of Somalia is not only a story of hardship, it is also a story of resilience. Farmers replanted when rains returned. Pastoralists rebuilt their herds. Communities repaired wells and restored livelihoods. Families who had been displaced sought to return home or establish new beginnings. The drought left lasting effects, but it also demonstrated the determination of Somali communities to endure and rebuild. The history of the Somalia drought reminds us that behind discussions of climate, weather, and humanitarian crises are ordinary people working to protect their families and preserve their way of life. Their story is one of challenge, adaptation, and hope for the future. If you enjoy the story and want more stories like this, subscribe to the channel at Africa Folktales, Movies and Storytelling.